What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. I'm your host, Sonny Von Cleveland, experiencing technical issues today. So you're going to see all kinds of wonderful stuff. We have Megan in the car, Claire in the living room. I'm in the bedroom on the laptop. Something went crazy in our thing. But you know what? It's perfect for today's episode. What would a wise person do? Often in life, whenever we run into obstacles or anything that an adversity or whatever that comes in our lives, we deal with it from a defensive perspective. We're not prepared to handle it like a wise person. So what we should be doing is asking ourselves, what would a wise person do? Seneca once said, no matter what fortune sends his way, the wise person transforms it into something admirable. And that's what we're going to be talking about today on the Daily Mastermind. Let's do this. And now I have my coffee. Everything is set, ready to go. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's one of those days already. I think, strep throat. I think I caught strep throat somehow. Was up all night. I look horrible, but nothing's going to prevent us.
And I got a migraine, so I look horrible too.
And so we're a little beat up today, but we're here. We live our passion, and we're not going to allow anything to stop us. Today we're talking about what would a wise person do. A lot of times in life, when we come up against an obstacle or adversity, we have these emotionally defensive reactions. We don't stop and think, what would Seneca do? What would Gandhi do? What would another wise person do? But if we can take that and make it a habit of stopping in the moment and asking ourselves that question, I think that we can all live a better life. And so I'll shoot it over to Claire. She knows way more about this topic than I do, and we're going to jump into this. Claire, what say you, babe?
Yeah, I would say, like many people, I have faced a lot of challenges and a lot of what I perceive. And I always say perceive because it is perception at the end of the day, our experiences, right? So I always say I perceived bad things to have happened to me in the past, but that's my perception. And what I have learned with myself is rather than react initially in the moment or ruminate on something or think about something for years and years on end and make it a lifestyle where I'm constantly repeating that bad memory over and over again, I will now get to myself to a situation where I'll say to myself, well, what would a wise person say to me in this situation? And the first thing is, one, we need to define wise, and two, we need to, who is the wise person? And that's going to be different for everybody. So for me, I have role models. I don't know them personally, but I admire them from afar. So
Sure.
Gandhi is one of them for sure, because he took down the British Empire with no war. And I don't believe in war, so I very much respect the man. Michelle Obama is another one who I love her. I think she's an amazing human being. So she's a role model for me. And so if I'm facing a difficult time, I would say to myself, well, what would Gandhi do, or what would Michelle Obama tell me to do at the moment? And Michelle Obama has a very famous quote from years ago when her husband was being attacked for not being an American, the birther issue and so forth. And she came out and said, when they go low, we go high. And that statement has stayed with me, so that now whenever I face anything, whether it's trivial or large, I say to myself, when they go low, we go high. Go up to 35,000 feet, see it from above. What would Michelle Obama tell me to do? Or what would a role model or somebody I aspire to be like do? And I think that's important because it gives you perspective. It doesn't mean that you invalidate what you're going through. It just gets you up from 5,000 feet up to a higher level to see at a bigger picture.
Facts. Megan, what do you think?
I love how you keep giving this analogy of 35,000 feet, because I can get such a visual of taking ourselves out of just looking around our current circumstances and seeing the bigger picture of how every single thing happens for a reason, and how it's a trickle effect of the things that we go through may not be happening to us, but for us. And it's really down to mindset. I was studying mindset this morning, and I had written down the definition of it being a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world. And so often mindset is something that we preach. And I think that the beginning phases of being able to take ourselves out of the current circumstances is having people to look up to, but also having that ability to look within and say, how much more am I capable of doing? Am I playing small? Have I set this bar low? Am I settling? And once I identify if I've done any of those things, I try to figure out how we can elevate just a little bit more and put those confidence things into our bucket to slowly make a change.
Absolutely. And Claire's dad is, or her stepdad
Yeah, I
is,
didn't come up with the 35,000 feet.
a
It's him.
super wise individual. And I think that I learned that from him as well, the 35,000 feet thing, because he's right. If we look at things from a top down perspective, if we're at 35,000 feet, we can see everything that's in our path. So you don't just see the obstacle, but you see everything around it. And by putting yourself in that position, you are able to see all avenues of resolution and not just what's immediately in front of you. Because if you're at ground level with the problem, you can't see around it. You can't see behind it. You can't see. All you're seeing is the problem. So we elevate ourselves up so that we can see things. When they go low, we go high. And I absolutely love that, because I have historically been emotionally reactive in situations, and that has never panned out for me positively in my life until I learned to slow down. And I use The Rock, I use Denzel Washington, and I use George Clooney. Those are my role models in life that I've modeled myself after. I've studied these guys, and I believe that you have to find yourself a bit of a muse to elevate yourself in life. And it's the same thing. Like Denzel Washington said when Will Smith slapped the hell out of Chris Rock, that's what he told him was, when you get to the top of the mountain is when the devil comes out, right? And so keeping that one sentence in your mind, knowing when life is going good for you and an obstacle hits, that's the thing. It's the devil knocking, right? Like it's not, you don't have an emotional response because you know that it's just an outside force trying to pull you off your square.
And
right?
I think sometimes as well, sorry, my puppy is, hey, Sophie.
That's the puppy.
Sorry, I've just had to give her my slipper to calm her down.
Oh, that's your dog, Sonny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's our dog, yeah.
Yeah. Sonny's dog. Yeah. She's not my
Claire and
dog.
I were talking about that.
Yeah. She's not my dog when she's naughty.
Our fat guy.
Yeah.
And he's
But what I would also say as well is sometimes if you can get yourself up to 35,000 feet, you can ask yourself, is this a situation where I'm chronically facing it? Because I didn't learn it the first time round. Is this something that I have to keep repeating until I learn it? Does that make sense? The same mistakes over and over again, the same obstacles over and over again. And then I'll go back to, what would my wise person say? Why are you repeating the same behavior over and over and over again, Claire? If Michelle Obama was sitting in the room with you right now, or the Buddha was sitting in the room with you right now, what would this person say to you?
I'm going to step out, let you ladies talk.
Okay, carry on. What do you think of that, Megan, about repeating mistakes?
You know what? I think that is the number one reason why people stay in the same place that they've been at for years, is that lack of self-discovery, that lack of going within and saying, how many times have I been through this? And I've watched it countless times over and over again, whether it's relationship-wise or business-wise or health-wise. We throw goals out there, but we don't keep promises to ourselves because it's almost like a norm to just let it slip and accept that that's okay. But when you elevate and you create a belief system, you almost raise the standards so high that anything below that is unacceptable. But the process of getting to that 35,000 feet perspective is a journey, and it's painful, and it builds character and grit, and it pushes you to that point of the edge where you feel like you're going to fail or you're going to break or you're afraid. And I read this quote and it said, just because you feel fear doesn't mean you should be afraid. And that's a belief system that we've created, that we attach our emotions to how we should be feeling or how we should perceive the situation. And just so much, gosh, Claire, you just have so much wisdom.
Well, that's my goal. Is I would eventually like to be the person who says, what would Claire Rogers do in this situation? That is my ultimate goal, and that's why Sunny and I are very open and honest about any mistakes we've made in our past as individuals and so forth. It's like you become wise by owning your mistakes, learning from them, and then sharing them and so forth. That's the ultimate goal. So I'm looking at Sunny here. Sunny, you coming back? Yeah.
Yeah, coming back. I just had to get myself together. The cough is kicking my ass. Oh, whew.
You okay?
Yeah, yep, I'm good. Keep it going though. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really out of it.
Don't be sorry.
Go. You can
guys
jump out, and then I can carry on.
You guys were doing phenomenal. I'll be back.
Okay, cool.
So to somebody who's wondering how to start this journey of seeing and getting to that perspective of looking at their life as a whole, whether instead of each individual situation as an obstacle, what would your advice be for that first step to a little bit more self-realization?
Again, I think the first step is don't react. Don't make any decisions. And I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm a good old fashioned pen and paper girl. So I say, write out the situation that you are facing, write it out, and then ask yourself, is what I am writing 100% true? Because quite often we create a narrative to suit our story and to suit the story that we're selling ourselves. And quite often we lie to ourselves to make ourselves feel better. So that's what I would say is write it out. And then once you've written it out, say, is it 100% true, or have I created a narrative in here to suit my own story? Kind of call yourself out on your own BS. And then that's a way of getting a little bit higher than 5,000 feet. You're starting to grow to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I kind of like created some confabulations here, and maybe I kind of changed the narrative a little bit, and it's not really 100% right. And that kind of, it hurts because you don't want to admit that you're kind of wrong and you caused some of the situation. You don't want to do that. The ego doesn't like that. But if you can do that, then you rise above a little bit of that 5,000 feet.
And that ties in with what Epictetus said, that we suffer more in imagination than we do in our mind, or than we do in reality. A lot of times, like what you said, whenever we have a situation that arises, if we can stop and look at it and say, okay, it's not actually, it's my response to the situation that's actually making me feel a certain way or having an emotional response, because the situation is technically neutral. If something happens in your life, if somebody hits your car, if a tree falls, if anything happens, there was no good or evil intent in that actual thing happening. It's the way you look at it. So now if somebody hits your car, you can take the angry approach and blame people, or something I did, something you did, blah, blah, blah. But it's our response to it, that accidents happen, things happen. And you don't know what another person is going through. So whenever you run into an altercation or a situation that involves another person, you have to be able to take yourself out of the scenario, remove your own bias emotion, and just look at it from a neutral perspective.
I'm also getting to the stage as well. I'm starting to think to myself, if I don't respond to something, does it mean it actually happened then? Meaning, if I don't give my attention to it, did it actually happen? Because I'm not even going there. I don't know if I'm right or wrong in that. It's just something I'm kind of exploring at the moment. If I don't give my attention to something, did it actually happen?
Well, I think that plays into if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
We can all say, of course it makes a sound, because it's the law of gravity when the tree hits. But does it? You weren't there, so you don't actually. This might have been the one time when the tree fell and didn't make a sound.
Exactly.
Megan, what do you think about that? I think it's like displacement therapy, actually, is kind of the term that I would coin for that.
Yeah.
I mean, Claire, I completely agree. Perception is reality, and how we choose to perceive things is how our quality of life is. And I see you two as entrepreneurs, and I try to put myself into the mindset of the viewer, whatever stage they're at, whatever desires they have, whatever is guiding them to want to elevate and be surrounded by like-minded people, it still takes that journey of willingness. And that is the one thing that held me back for so long, was to think that I should have all the answers so I don't need to learn more. And that's where I think being a professional student for life comes into us having this grand picture of this purpose that we want to give the world, but that starts with us. And I hear time and time again, I want to teach people, I want to help people, without that self-realization that you got to help yourself first. You have to be the change to show people. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to follow you.
Facts.
And this
that's
is
what a wise person would do. Claire, go.
And this is what I've said to Sunny many times. You know, I'm a professional coach, but actually the coaching industry has got a terrible reputation because, you okay, Sunny? Everybody and their dog calls themselves a coach, but very rarely have coaches done the work on themselves. So it's like going to school. I've studied it. Hey, now I'm going to give you all the tools. But unless you've done that work on yourselves, you're a crap coach. You don't have the right to call yourself a coach and so forth. So I think you're absolutely right. You cannot help anyone until you do the work on yourself. You call yourself on your own BS, but also realize that you're never going to get to a stage where you're fixed or you're perfect. It's a constant evolution. You know, what I'm saying to you today, I might have some amazing thoughts a year from now that I totally disregard what I'm saying today. Who knows, right?
And if you want to do independent research on your own and learn a little bit more about this, you can go to itopiacoaching.com. And we have plenty of resources. Claire has built an amazing, wonderful website. There are a lot of resources that are on there that go in conjunction with what we're talking about. It's absolutely, and Megan's right. It starts with us. Everything starts with us. We can make as many excuses as we want as to why things aren't going the way we want them to, but it's all going to come back to us. If you take whatever the situation is, something's not working, break it down, reverse engineer it, go back, and I promise you, you're going to find at some point, it's me. I'm not doing something that I could be doing differently to bring about the change that I want.
And I love the...
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, just back to that topic of wisdom. It takes so much wisdom to be able to look at somebody who has created success, whatever success looks like, happiness, time, finances, and be able to say, you know what, I want to learn how they did it, instead of saying, oh, they're so lucky, or they just started at the right time, where you don't see the trenches. You don't see the iceberg 500 feet below the ground when we're posting videos and getting one like or no like and continuing to go without the claps of others for validation. That's where success comes, is when you're wise enough to know that your vision is going to come to life and you're willing to persevere to see it happen.
Facts.
Absolutely.
We talk about that on the show, and Claire, go ahead, and I'll chime in after this. But
absolutely, social media is a problem for that right now. You know, social media sells perfectionism and the highlight reel. I hate filters. That's why I'm willing to come on here with no makeup, with a migraine, looking like crap. I hate all of that because that's not what real life is. Right. So I think we need to stop the filters, stop posting the highlight reels and saying how perfect everything is. And hey, I made 100 grand in 30 days, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit, people. It's the highlight reel. It's not real life. And so we need to be more forthcoming of sharing our stories of, hey, you know what? This is where I screwed up. This is where I fell down. This is where I made mistakes. This is where I've had my face down in the arena. And this is how I climb back up again. That's what I think is what is inspiring. And I think that is the real.
And to both of your point, we are doing our best here at Itopia, the Daily Mastermind, to eliminate the filter, the highlight reel. We're just coming as raw and authentic as possible to put the life on display of people that are willing success. Like Megan said, we may have 4 viewers, we may have 2 viewers, we may have 1 view on a video, but it's still putting out the content for people to consume when they consume it, because 10 years from now, the video might resonate with somebody. 10 years from now, some 17-year-old kid that's lost in life might come across the Daily Mastermind. He might accidentally spell mastermind and split the word. boom, here he is, and consume that content that could save his life, right? So we're not here to do this for the validation, for the recognition, or for the financial gain of it. We're literally putting out the content every day because at some point it might help somebody, because we live our purpose. We are living what we believe. And you got to own your story, right? Like, what would a wise man say in that scenario? What would a wise man do? A wise man would say, tell your story, be authentic, own it. And I think we all do that relatively well. I mean, I don't know much about Megan's story, but I'm sure we'll figure it out as we go further into the mastermind. But Claire and I both put our stories out on complete display for the world, because I believe that there are so many people that endure. We're not special. None of us are special. We are all, there are so many people that are just like us, that have gone through the same things, some worse, some better, but they've all gone through the same. Everybody goes through stuff, right? And so we just do our best to try to give to the world our experience and the wisdom that we've garnered from that experience.
And I think it ultimately comes down to what people think the meaning of life is, and everybody's got a different perception. But personally, I don't think that we come to this world to work our asses off, sell perfectionism, put all this crap on our faces, and then mask ourselves, collect shit, and die. I personally don't believe that that's the meaning of life. I think that we go through some challenges in life to speak about it publicly, to rise one another up. I think we come to Earth School to help one another.
Facts.
I love that. And if I can speak on the latter, because I used to struggle with this area of vanity. And one of the 3 people that would be on my list of wise women is Audrey Hepburn. I feel like I have always looked up to her. And for me, I think that beauty, it's been distorted into wanting to look like somebody you're not, where me, I think it's such a form of self-expression to be able to express yourself. I remember, I'll never forget, when I was 17, I started this blog, and it was a clothing blog. And I'm a thrifter. Like, I don't buy high-end stuff. I love thrift stores. But it was a clothing blog describing how fashion is a form of self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that fashion has become a way for people to feel like they fit in, where for me, I'm like, how can I stand out?
Absolutely. I think I look at I was part of the problem in the 90s. I was stop it. Sorry, Sophie Grace is being naughty. I was part of the problem in the 90s. I was a model for 5 years. So absolutely, I was part of the problem. But I remember thinking it was a stupid career. I did it because I just thought, if you're dumb enough to pay me money to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to do it as long as I can. But I look on that now and I think, why are we trying to make everybody look the same? Everybody has to have big lips and eyebrows that are all shaped. And why does everybody have to look a certain way? Why can't we be unique and so forth? Why can't we happily walk around in public with not an ounce of makeup on and so forth, and not be seeking external validation?
Well, and then if you even take it to the next level, how much it's changed with actually altering your face with fillers and Botox, and how everybody has this like desired look. And my husband and I talk about this all the time, because Sarah Jessica Parker is prime example of just aging gracefully. And I think that that's something that's so beautiful about life, is being able to take that wisdom and not feel like you have to preserve like this certain time in your life that you want to look this way forever, but really allowing yourself to honor each stage that you go through.
I look back
I ain't never put on a stitch of makeup, and I ain't never had anything done to my face.
I remember when I was modeling back in the 90s, I can't tell you how many girls used to have these metal rods put in their stomach to make them look like they had 6-packs, and men used to have silicone implants put in the back of their calves to make look like they had this. And going back to our topic of today, would a wise person tell you to do that? Would a wise person say, let's put the plastic in our bodies, let's get fake boobs, fake lips, fake that? Like, would a wise person tell you to do this to conform to society? No. You're beautiful just the way you are.
Well, not even that, but that takes away the hard work, because you could easily go to the gym, get those calves, get those abs, but it's avoiding the work. And everybody's looking for the easiest way. But if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. But nobody's willing to eat their frogs first.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly disagree with Joe Torres here, buddy. I totally disagree with you, my friend. Nobody ages disgracefully, I don't think. You don't
Yeah,
age disgracefully. And that is self-deprecating talk, my brother.
And perception.
And that has you have to eliminate that from your life, because beauty is I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it's no matter who you are.
If I can give you any commentary on that, I have hung out with some of the most beautiful men and women in the world, and some of them have got really, really ugly souls. And so then I don't think they're beautiful anymore, and I don't think they're handsome anymore, and so forth. So I think it for me, beauty comes down to, does their soul radiate with goodness and love and kindness? That's what beautiful is. That's what handsome is, you know?
And you know what I've come to learn in my life? I used to be a pretty shallow guy, but what I've come to learn is that there's no such thing as an ugly person. I don't ugly physically. I used to think that if somebody wasn't perfect looking or had a perfect body, that that they were perfect looking. But as I've matured as a person and grown wiser, there's no such thing as an ugly person. I think you can find beauty in every single person that exists physically. You can physically find something beautiful about everybody. Joe Torres says, I'm joking, but for real, not everyone looks what society would consider perfect or beautiful. So everyone is great in how they age. And that's right, because that's also a very cultural thing, right? Like in other cultures, big girls are prized. Big girls are the it thing. That's what they like. That's what they look for. And short guys are the thing in some cultures. And
long necks.
Long necks. Right. Like I'm not attractive in Japanese culture. I'm like Godzilla. They look at me like, oh! So it's also cultural, and you have to keep that in mind. That what he said right there, what society would consider perfect or beautiful, a wise person would tell you, you don't
even think about society.
What society would think. We don't care what society would say or think. We live happily, and we embrace and love ourselves.
See, and I think that a wise person would say, you need to go experience more of the world. You need to fill your cup with different people so that you have something different to compare it to. Because if we're comparing apples with apples, then oranges are always going to be different.
And that's actually, Sunny and I were talking about the other day. There's been some background drama that has been threatening to come into our lives that we've been ignoring for a while now. And I said to Sunny the other day, having the privilege of living in multiple countries and have been to 70 countries, you realize that this silly little drama that can come into our lives is nothing in the great big scheme called life. It really is nothing.
Most problems that we encounter are insignificant, even though in the moment they seem monumental. They're insignificant. One of the things Marcus Aurelius teaches is if you look at your life in totality, whatever circumstance you're going through now, you've been through worse. So when something comes at you and you're in a situation, look at it like, okay, this sucks, but let me look back at the totality of my life, and I've been through a lot worse, so I can get through this. And it just makes it a little bit easier psychologically to deal with whatever situation it is that you're dealing with. Right?
And you say to yourself as well, will what I am concerning myself with today matter in a year from now? Will I remember?
Right. So these are some tips that you guys can use and employ in your own life. I see Jessica F is here from Sweden. Thank you so much for tapping in, and everybody for tuning in. Great show, great topic. I'm going to cut it short. I am dying, and I have things I have to do. Megan,
look after my guy.
Megan, thank you so much for your time, for being here. Claire, thank you so much, as always, for sacrificing your guys' time to help the world. You guys are amazing people for it. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. You guys are incredible. Please do us a favor. If you're finding value in the content, share it. Share it out to your social media. Share it out wherever you can to bring more people in because we want to get this message out to the world. We want to try to help people every day. We are here. I see the numbers are up today, which is awesome. And just do your part to help the world, man. This is what you can do to help the world. We'll do the heavy lifting. You just talk about it. So for Claire, oh wait, we got to do the final words of the day. I'm so sorry. Megan, final words of the day. Leave them with something inspirational, girl.
You are not required to like it, but you're required to do it.
Ooh, that is a good one. I like it. Claire, get them, baby.
No matter what situation you may find yourself in, ask yourself, what would a wise person do in this situation? What would a wise person tell me to do in this situation? And also, to quote my girl, Michelle Obama, just remember, when they go low, we go high.
I love it. I would just admonish everybody that whatever situation comes at you, when it comes at you, stand strong in your faith, stand strong in yourself, stand strong in your principles and your beliefs, and know that it's temporary. Whatever you're going through is temporary. There's always a light on the other side. You just got to figure out how to get to it and stay tenacious, because no matter what, you've been through worse and you will get through it. Again, thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to my people coming in to host. We love you guys, and we will see all of you guys tomorrow right back here on the Daily Mastermind. See ya.
Yeah.